Hi there, Michael Giannotti here at CatholicFamilyMan.com. And I just wanted to respond real quickly in a two-part video series to some points that were brought up on my Facebook site. And the first of which is around contraception and the church's teachings on that. So somebody insinuated that the new Pope, Pope Francis, who was a chemist before he ever went into clerical line of work. He has degrees in chemistry, masters in chemistry. He has degrees in chemistry, philosophy, theology, literature, and there was one other and I'm forgetting. But quite a learned man, but somehow that he was going to push science back because he did not adhere to the modern worldview here in the United States of condom use everywhere as somehow a great thing. What a great thing that is. And in order to understand why the church does not hold that teaching, why it's not absurd, and why the church holds its position on contraception, you have to understand, first of all, what the church teaches about the magic word, sex, sexual intimacy, and the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church believes that sexual intimacy is one of the greatest gifts of God to humankind. Yeah, it really does. Because it teaches that the act of sexual intimacy is meant to be this total act of selfless giving of self for another. And the two shall become one. That it's an act of selflessness. And that in order to meet the bar of selflessness, it has to meet two criteria points. Number one, well, first of all, those are unitive and procreative. Why unitive? Unitive because it's meant to bring people together. Right? It's pleasurable. Yes, it is. This isn't just, like some turtles that go and boop, boop, boop. They act on an urge and don't feel much of anything and it's done. It is meant to be pleasurable, but it's meant to bring them people. It's more than just this physical rush. It's meant to unify. That's why the church says it's to be experienced only by a man and woman in the context of marriage. And marriage, as defined by the church, is a lifelong commitment of love. That's what it's supposed to be. Two people giving themselves, laying down their lives for one another, and putting another person first. Seeing to them first and to their needs and wants first, with the goal of bringing them to heaven. And the act of sexual intimacy is a unifying act of those two people, cementing that relationship in love and in giving to one another. Not seeking to selfishly gratify, but to bring each other together. Number two, it's procreative. The act of love in Catholic understanding is creative. It's it begets creation. We believe, the Big Bang Theory comes to us from a Catholic priest originally. Look it up if you don't believe me. But the idea that God in His love for us begets creation. Creation comes forth. And so this idea that a man and woman, they will be open to procreation, the bringing forth of life as the fruit of their love. I mean, from a purely scientific standpoint, pure biology standpoint, sex is meant to make babies. That's what it does. It feels good, so we want to have it from a pure biology standpoint so that we make babies. That's the natural order of things. Church understands that. The church also says that we're more than just animals, that there is we don't dehumanize, we humanize, that sex is elevated and lifted beyond just the physical impulse as humans, in that it is selfless. It's an act of selfless love meant to bring forth babies. So that's what we believe. Now, you don't have to believe that. You may not agree with us, but at least understand that we are at least philosophically consistent in our beliefs and in how that extends to things like contraception. On the issue of STDs, that's where this came about. Empirical science. Now, it was thrown out that abstinence is somehow this absurd fantasy. You know, I do understand that there are many people, even amongst the faithful, who fall short, have fallen short. Heck, you know, before I came back to the church, and something I struggled with for a long time was because of the fact that I was not a devout Catholic, and I lived a life not in accordance with what the church teaches. I sought self-gratification, and I lived not a good life, which left its scars. You can't live a selfish life and just flip the switch. But I can tell you this, that when we look at what the church teaches, you know, and if you follow it, that it is much different and it is elevated above that. So back to STDs. I'm getting off on my train of thought. STDs and the church and abstinence. If we want to talk about abstinence, we do know that condom use, which was what was thrown out there as the best thing, and it's under 50 cents. Condom use, if you go look in the Center for Disease Control, go on Wikipedia, there's a number of other sites. I looked up several that were pro-condom. Even on the pro-condom sites, they'll tell you efficacy with HIV, 80 to 85%. That means 15 to 20% ineffective. 15 to 20% ineffective against HIV, 100% effective against HIV for abstinence. I don't know. That's empirical. Number 2, syphilis. On the same sites, the rates for syphilis was 40 to 50% ineffective. Abstinence is 100% effective. And it goes on and on. So, you know, you can keep going with different STDs. Empirically, you may not like the fact, and you may throw out and say, yeah, but no, it's irrational. They're not going to be abstinent. Well, the fact is there are millions that are. The fact is I've known countless people in my life who were faithful to their calling. Faithful. Are there people who fall short? Are there priests who have fallen, and ministers and teachers and government officials and all? There are people from all walks of life. Why? We are human, we are imperfect, and people fail. But that doesn't mean we don't strive to be better. We don't strive to do the right thing. We don't strive to elevate ourselves. Heck, we do it all the time in sports and everything else. Why not in one of the most vital areas of our life? You know, just because I can't be Michael Jordan doesn't mean as a kid I stop playing basketball, give it up, and do whatever, because I'll never be that. That's impossible. That's crazy. No, I still strive to be the best player I can be, right? Ball player. Well, how much more so in our area of sexuality? We are called to experience something that is beautiful beyond belief. And we want to throw that away because we call it absurd, because the popular media today wants to drive out a narrative that pushes an agenda that makes them lots of money on the backs of people who continue to contract STDs, having unwanted pregnancies and all sorts of things that result from a distortion and a perversion of what God intended for us in the realm of sexuality. You may not agree, but that's the teachings of the church. Sex is beautiful. It's meant to be unitive and open to procreation within the context of a marriage, the giving of two selves and laying down of their lives for each other. And anything that disrupts that is not in accordance with God's plan. That's what we believe. That doesn't mean we're scientifically illiterate. It means we're philosophically consistent. And that's that. With that, this is Michael on the go, or Michael at CatholicFamilyMan.com. It's late at night. Bidding you have a great night, great day. You know, even if you don't agree with me, I will continue to hope that, we can dialogue. I'll offer you up in prayer, even if you don't believe in it. And I do hope that you do have a blessed day. With that, God bless and peace.